7 years ago, it was my first year as a priest that I participated at a Chrism Mass. And it was the first Chrism Mass for Pope Francis. So I was in Rome in St. Peter Basilica with the Pope and 1,600 priests. Yesterday, on Tuesday Holy Week, usually here in the States, we have our Chrism Mass. I gathered with Archbishop Naaman and over 100 priests. But we gather on Zoom because the restrictions apply also to us priests. Two very different moments and ways to celebrate the priesthood and be reminded and renew the promises we took as priests. And yet both very powerful in a different way. During the Chrism Mass, the oils that are used for the sacramental life of the Church are consecrated. And among them, there's a chrism, which is an oil that has a very unique perfume. Yet it's used also to ordain priests and deacons. So this special oil, I think, reminds me of Mary, sister of Lazarus and Martha, who right before Jesus enters to die in Jerusalem, she's in Bethany and anoints Jesus' feet with this very costly perfume, very precious, that it's worth almost a year of salary. And Judas complains because he say, why this waste? Why wasting these things? More than why waste, I ask myself, why Jesus' feet? Mary, according to the tradition, is also the woman caught in adultery. Very guilty, ashamed for what she's done. People want to stone her and have her killed. And so in that situation, you are carrying the weight of your sin and you're looking down, you're embarrassed. I think among all those feet of people who were accusing her, she found feet were associated with a tender voice, the voice of Jesus, who was not accusing her, but was calling her to her dignity, to a fullness of life, to a conversion of life. So I wonder if feet has always been very special for her, the feet of Jesus. You know, throughout the century in our tradition also we have different parts of the body of Jesus that have been venerated. You know, think about the hymn that we sing in Lent, O Sacred Head surrounded by a crown of piercing thorns, or the Holy Face of Jesus, the Sacred Heart of Jesus, or maybe the honor and the devotion we have to the wounds of Jesus. Mary had a unique tie with Jesus' feet. So if I were today to anoint a part of Jesus' body, what would it be? What's important for me? Maybe it's a part of my body that's hurt, and so I think about that body part more often. Maybe it reminds me of my encounter with Jesus. And there's another thing too, that being wasteful. You know, yes, you could have maybe in a situation like we are living today, oh, you need to keep things close to yourself and don't waste things if they're not important and keep them. You'll never know. You'll never know what happens later. Instead, we can be wasteful, maybe not with material things, but we can be wasteful with something that when we give it, it's multiplied. Thinking, for example, when I say that, the first thing that comes to mind is joy. The more you give joy, the more joy multiplies because it's contagious to the people around and it enkindles you and fires you up with more joy as you see the people around you be joyful. So maybe in your own prayer today, as you keep entering and you want to honor Jesus Christ and his body, what part of his body is meaningful to you? And how can you be wasteful? What are ways you can be wasteful of joy, or what can you give that in your own personal experience, the more you give it, the more it multiplies?